Amazing. All right, we're going to get started. We are so lucky to be talking to Liane today. Liane, welcome. I would love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you. So I'm Liane Moccia. I'm a fertility specialist and herbalist. So I help people improve their fertility with herbs, nutrition, supplements, lifestyle changes, and a clear plan.
Amazing. And I know that you've helped those in my circle who I so appreciate. And your work it's really changing lives and it's absolutely amazing. So we're so excited to dive deep today and learn a little bit more about you and how you built your business. So let's kick it off with really what inspired you to start your business?
Mm. I think it was this culmination of what was happening with me personally. So I was working in healthcare marketing. I was traveling a lot. I was super busy, but I was also struggling to build my own family. And as I started pulling herbs in and learning more about holistic approaches to fertility and still working, I started realizing this was going to be a passion of mine. At the early stages, I thought maybe this will just be information I'll use to help myself and my family stay healthy. But as I got deeper and I went back to school part-time while I was still working, I realized that this was something that it was so important for me to be able to offer to other people. It's what I wish I had had at the beginning of my journey. And I think I reached this sort of tipping point where the work that I was doing in corporate marketing used to be very rewarding, and then suddenly it wasn't. It just didn't feel like it was fueling my soul enough. It started to become just a paycheck in what I did. And that's when I knew I don't want to spend the rest of my career feeling this way. If I'm going to pour my heart and soul into work, I want that work to feel worth it. And so I slowly started the transition of setting up my own clinical practice and then eventually transitioned over to full time.
Amazing. And I love that you made a decision that, it was worth it and you were worth it. I also love that you solved a problem for yourself and
Yes.
then realized, hey, maybe other women could benefit from this solution, which I think that's so beautiful when you're able to amplify your work that helped you to help others. That's really amazing. Okay, so, as you're building your business, you came from corporate, you're building your business. One of the things that a lot of female founders can feel, especially new entrepreneurs, is imposter syndrome. They can feel like maybe they're unqualified. How have you been able to sort of navigate that?
Yeah. Yeah. Imposter syndrome is real, and I think just knowing that everybody experiences it and that you will continue to experience it because as you push yourself to do new things, whenever you're up against your limit of what you've done before, you're going to question, can I really do this? And I think that's a really good thing. So I think just first of all, being able to understand that these feelings are real, everyone feels them, and you're going to feel them over and over again. I think that alone can help. I think I lean on looking at past experiences. So, for example, I remember going to my first herbal symposium conference and being in awe of all of the presenters and the speakers and sitting in these audiences of, 75 to 100 people and watching these speakers and thinking, couldn't compete with that. How could I ever be part of that group? And then slowly over time, after starting small and building my skills, now I am presenting at those conferences. And I realize that I have something to say, I have a unique voice. And so when I start to feel that imposter syndrome creeping in, I remind myself of those past times and how I've pushed through with baby steps, really. I felt the same way when I worked so hard to write a book and get it published. I remember submitting the proposal to the publisher, and I was all confidence and excitement, and this book needs to be in the world, and I love what I've done. And then I got a contract, I signed the contract, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? I can't do this. Like, look at all these amazing authors, and who am I to think that I should be? And I had to remind myself, like, I'm pushing myself, I'm at a limit right now, and I need to push through that limit and it will be okay. And I pushed through and obviously Now I'm seeing endorsements come through for that book from authors that I've admired for the last 10 years, and that feels so good.
That's amazing. Oh, that's such great advice. There's so many gems in there. I love that so much. Okay, so one another just really important topic, especially for women in business, is balancing, our pursuit of our goals and our ambitions while also making sure that we take really good care of ourselves and just making sure that we don't get lost in everybody else's priorities. So how do you, I don't know if manage is the right word, but how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think it's something that we always struggle with, I think, because we are, especially if you're passionate about the business that you have, it is something that you love to do. So it feels good to be in the work and doing the work. And other things you can drop the other balls in the air. I always remembered something a mentor of mine told me when I was working in corporate marketing. And she said to me, it's your career is like driving a car. There's times you're going to step on the gas, and there's some times you're going to step off the gas and let things coast. And you have to be okay with that because you can't do everything all the time. But the key is being very strategic and making a conscious choice as to where you're going to put your energy. And it's okay to say, I'm going to step off of the gas right now in this area and making that conscious choice and having a plan in place to say, here's what I'm choosing not to do right now. And here's, the plan to put that on the back burner. And here's where I'm shifting my energy instead because it needs to be there, and then and letting it go and knowing that's okay. And I think what helps me, because this can be big things and it can be very small things, like I had a day set up where I was going to do these 5 things and something, blew up at home, and now I have to stop, pivot, and take care of what's going on. I think as long as you're being conscious about where you're putting your energy and not just letting the pull of every day drive your decision, because then you're at risk for having a lot of balls in the air and important things can drop and that can have consequences. But if you are intentional about it and know that you're not going to do everything all the time, it changes everything, I think.
That is such great advice. That is such great advice. And I love the analogy of the career as a car because I found that to be true. Especially as women, we go through different seasons, priorities shift from, yeah, from just different seasons of life and different things that priorities. I think it's okay to give ourselves permission to recognize those priorities. But I like the piece that you mentioned about the strategic and planning. That's so good. Um, Okay, so I know that you've got so much great advice to share. What would you say to a woman who's maybe just starting her business? The best piece of advice that you could give her? Maybe she's leaving corporate like you did, or maybe she's just so excited to be a new entrepreneur, but she really wants to build her business. How would you guide her?
I would say that you have to not be afraid to fail and to then pivot and make another choice, because we all are making so many decisions on a daily basis and they're not always going to be the right decision, but you don't know it until you try it and go through it. And I think, especially if you've come from a corporate career where there's a lot of perfectionism, and often if you're working in a corporate environment, you have a whole team around you, you have a boss who's helping lay out objectives, and you are strategically walking through your goals and you're meeting them. Entrepreneurship is so different because you're setting that vision and you're setting the next steps. And sometimes you have to be in it and just take that next step to know if that next step was right or wrong. And it's not bad when it's wrong. It's okay, we tried it. Now, what did we learn from it and move on? I fell prey to thinking I needed to have a perfectly buttoned up business plan at the very beginning and I needed to stick to it and execute it. And it just doesn't work that way. You have to be able to pivot and make choices and changes. And also really internalize the fact that there often isn't one perfect answer. There isn't a silver bullet. There's not one thing. It is trial and error and what is going to work best for you and iterating on that plan, and that plan will continually change. So get very comfortable with change and failure and success.
I love that. It kind of comes with the territory, right? Like if you're going to be an entrepreneur, yeah, just be prepared for this and just know that, if everything, you learn through what you go through, and as long as you have that mindset of I'm going to iterate and I'm going to make it better and take the lessons, leave the rest, then it can be a beautiful journey. But that's great advice. I love that so, so much. Um, so, one of the things that's been key in my journey, and I think yours as well, has been really having mentors, having guides that have come alongside you, whether it be in the field that you're working in, whether it be in business. I mean, I've had mentors in marketing, mentors in speaking, in all different areas. But can you talk a little bit about the importance of mentorship in your journey and how you would share about that to somebody else?
Yeah, mentorships have been huge in my journey. I don't think I would have made the successes that I made in the time frame that I made them if I didn't have a mentor. And I think that's because we, as business owners, we can get really stuck in the weeds and we're not seeing that bigger picture. And if you have a mentor who is is ahead of you in some way, they're holding that higher vision and they're seeing things from a much more global perspective and can be there to sort of pull you out and say, this is maybe not where you need to be focusing your time right now. You're spinning your wheels on something that may or may not matter. Even when you're making big decisions about visions and next steps, they have another perspective that they can mirror back a bit of what you're saying, what you're feeling, and just sort of shine a light on the bigger, I think the bigger picture. I think mentors also help with accountability. So sometimes, I can talk myself in and out of an idea in 24 hours. And so having that mentor to bounce ideas off of and say, am I talking myself out of this because it's hard or because it's maybe not a great idea right now for my business? And having those strategic conversations have just been everything for me in my business.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And I think sometimes business, especially when you're starting out and you don't have a big team, it can feel lonely. And so having that strategic thinking partner, like you said, to hold that higher vision, it's so important. I love that you said that. Um, so I want to also just give you the opportunity to share what's next for you. What are you working on? What are you excited about? What's coming up next for you?
Yeah. So I think the thing I'm most excited about for 2025 is that my book is launching. So while I'm still in clinical practice and seeing clients every day, there's a big part of my day now that is learning and excited about the publishing industry. So the publication date is September 2025. I'm working with a great publisher who has, lots of resources and support, and I'm learning what it means to send your book out to early advanced readers and see the blurbs coming back in and setting up a podcast schedule and a launch plan and all of those things. And it's just really exciting because I started writing the book, at this point almost 2 years ago. So now you're seeing all of that work come into the world. And the best feeling is when, an endorsement comes in from someone that you admired and you feel so thankful and grateful. And you know that getting this book out on the market is going to reach so many more people than I could ever reach in my clinical private practice. So I'm just really excited for what this adventure is going to look like. And it really is like launching a child into the world. It's like here is this exciting thing you've been working on in the background.
It's so exciting. And so is there a place where people can get on a wait list or connect with you to be waiting for when all the launch happens? Is it social media? How can people connect in with you?
Yes. So on social media, I'm at Liane Moccia. That's probably the best place to follow because I'm promoting and talking all the time about what's going on in my life with the book and with my practice. Also, if people click through to my website, lianemoscia.com, they can sign up and join my newsletter and we'll get information that way as well.
Amazing. You've shared so many amazing gems with us today. Is there anything else you would like to share that's on your heart or just a final words of wisdom?
I just think thinking about the things we talked about today, I've felt so many threads of how the Women's Business League has supported each and every of those questions. So when we talked about mentorships, several of the mentors I've worked with have been through the Women's Business League. When I start feeling like imposter syndrome, I have a group of women that I lean on that are through the Women's Business League. There's just been so much collaboration and support, and I am so thankful and grateful for this group and all that it's meant for me personally and professionally. So thank you.
Well, we are grateful for you. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.